Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for this first ever BCT community class. My name is Connor, and today we're going to be going over iPhone basics, showing you some tips and tricks and shortcuts for how to get the most out of your iPhone. We're going to be going over some of my favorite shortcuts and tips and tricks. I'm going to show you how to customize your home screen, add and delete apps, show you some important settings that you need to know, camera settings, talk a little bit about some new features that are new in iOS 17, the latest piece of software. So, how today's going to work, you can use the chat button to ask any questions or leave any comments that you may have. And if you don't see this little chat bubble here like I have on the screen, if you're on a computer or a laptop, just kind of wiggle your mouse around a little bit and you should see a toolbar pop up from the bottom or the top of the screen where you can click on chat there and then you can ask any questions. I've already got a couple of messages in the chat as well so that you can kind of see how that works right there. But I just want to make sure folks have all their permissions. Yep, everybody can chat and ask questions if they'd like. And then this class is also being recorded as well. I'm the only one being recorded. Nobody else's names or videos are being recorded. And then the recording is going to be posted on the BCT website at bctelco.com/news so that you can go back and watch anything you might have missed. If you want a recap of any of the tips or anything that you've seen, that recording will be available shortly as well. So don't be afraid to put any questions or comments in the chat, and I'll make sure to get to those as well. We're going to talk about your Apple ID, setting that up and the functions of what it's for. We're going to go over some important settings and notification settings as well. We're going to talk a little bit about local storage on your phone versus cloud storage and what that means. We're going to talk about downloading and deleting apps from your phone, using and customizing the control center, one of my favorite ways to use shortcuts. We're going to go over some camera settings, different modes that you can use and filters and things like that. I'm going to give you a couple of my favorite shortcuts and tips, and then again, talk quickly at the end about what's new in iOS 17, the latest software version for the iPhone. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is stop sharing this screen, and then I'm going to share my screen directly from my iPhone so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so let's jump right into a couple of my favorite tips. Do this as like a little bit of a warm-up, okay? So one of my favorite things to do to find something like an app or a message or really anything else on my phone, here from the home screen, I can just swipe my finger down from the middle of the screen, and then this opens up a little search area right here. It's giving me some suggestions for apps that I use a lot, and then you can even see I have a recent search right here. I was searching for a fishing pole. But I can search anything right here if I'm looking for it. Like say I can't find my settings app, okay? Just type in settings, and it's gonna pop up right there at the top. I can even type in like a keyword for a text message. Just as an example, I was planning a buddy's birthday that's coming up, and there was a lot of messages in the text thread between the group that I was talking to, and I wanted to just be able to find something quickly. So what I can do is like type in the keyword birthday, for example, and then that's going to pop up different stuff throughout my phone. It's going to show me emails that have that keyword in there. It's going to show me text messages that I have right here where we've talked about birthday. It's going to show my contacts that I might have saved with my birthdays, with their birthdays in there, things like that. So one of my favorite features here from the home screen, just swipe down with your finger and you'll see this little search area pop up right there. Really nice little feature, I think. Another one of my favorite tips, super quick and easy, is how to take a screenshot on your phone. So what I'm going to do is, you guys should also be able to see my screen, but also me talking as well. So I'm kind of holding up my phone right here. I hope you can see this. I know the screen's probably small, but I just want to point out the buttons that I'm using. So to take a screenshot, you're going to simultaneously press the volume up button and the lock button on the other side of the screen. Press those at the same time. You can see there that my screen did a little flash, and then it took a screenshot. A screenshot just means that it's taking a picture of whatever is currently on your screen at that moment in time. And then you can see it popped up in the bottom left corner of my screen right there. So if I tap on it, I can actually make some edits to it and then save it from here as well. So you can sort of see at the bottom of my screen, there's some different markers and erasers and stuff like that. I can kind of select through these, and then I can make some different markings on my phone. Okay. So I can mark something up if I wanted to. Let's say I take a screenshot of, I've done this before where, I was trying to have somebody find me where I was. We were out and about, and I want to say, hey, I'm at this corner right here. So I took a screenshot of my Google Maps location and then circled where I was right there after taking a screenshot and sent it to someone. Just one example of how you can use this. And then you can also see up at the top right, I can just hit the trash can icon if I want to delete this. Or if I want on the top left, I can press done and then I can save it to my photos. So if I press save to photos, boom, it's now saved into the photos area of my phone as well. So taking a screenshot is something that I do pretty often. Just sort of depends on how you use your phone. And, sometimes you might take a screenshot if you get I've done it before for like transactions. I buy something and I want to take a screenshot just to make sure I have, that receipt, that proof, I guess. Different things like that. So there's another good tip. Another one is using the control panel. I mentioned this in our class agenda, but this I do 1,000 times a day because it's really the easiest way to do different shortcuts and things on your phone. So what you're going to do is swipe your finger down from the top right of the screen. And I'm going to kind of show you this way as well. I'm mirrored, so this is the top right of my screen. Just swipe your finger down, and that pulls up this section right here. This is called the control panel, where you can do a couple of different things, okay? And just a quick note, I think swiping down from the top right for the control panel is only for iPhone 10 and newer. If you have an iPhone 8, that means you have a button on the bottom of your screen, whereas anything newer than an iPhone 8 no longer has that button at the bottom of the screen to go to the home screen. So if you have an older iPhone, to get to the control panel, you actually swipe up from the bottom of your screen. But on any newer model, 10 or newer, you swipe down from the top right of the screen. I hope that helps if anybody out there has an older phone. All right, so let's talk about a couple of these different functions here on the control panel. So starting kind of at the top of the screen, top left, you can see I've got my wireless carrier connection right there, AT&T, and then directly to the right of that, I have the little Wi-Fi symbol. That just tells me that I'm currently connected to Wi-Fi, but that I also have my cellular, my mobile data enabled. So if I wasn't connected to Wi-Fi, I could use the internet with my mobile data plan as well, if that makes sense. And then over to the right of that, I've got a couple little symbols. You can see my battery. I'm at 74% right now. The little half moon symbol next to that means that my device is on do not disturb mode. Teaching a class right now, so I don't want to get notifications from text messages or anything like that. Next to that is a little portrait orientation lock symbol. It's a little lock with a kind of arrow, a circle arrow around it. That means that if I have that on, my portrait orientation is on, and I'm looking at a website or a picture, and if I turn my phone sideways, the content that's on the screen is not going to turn with it. Versus if I turn that off, so you should be able to see on the left middle side of your screen, there's a little red lock symbol with an arrow around it, highlighted in white. If I tap on that, that turns portrait orientation lock off. That means, in this case, if I were looking at something on my phone, like an article on an internet browser or a photo on my phone, and I rotated it horizontally, then the content on the screen is going to rotate with it. I personally don't really like it when my phone does that, because I've noticed that sometimes you tilt it even like a couple degrees, that the whole screen will rotate. And I don't personally like it when that happens. So I keep my portrait orientation lock on so that things don't shift around on me. So that's what that means. Okay, and then moving down, this kind of square in the top left where you can see the airplane and the Bluetooth symbol and the Wi-Fi, those are my different connections that I can use for my phone. So what I can essentially do is, you see the little airplane, if I tap on that, that turns on airplane mode. And that basically disables connections for my phone. That means I won't be connected to Wi-Fi, my Bluetooth will turn off, and my cellular data will turn off. They have you do this if you ever take a flight, so that it doesn't interfere with the plane's communications technology as well. So What I can also do is I can hold my finger down on any of those symbols up there, and it actually expands the menu a little bit. So I'm going to hold my finger down on the Bluetooth button, and you can see I've got more options now. So again, airplane mode is off. I have cellular data on. I'm currently connected to Wi-Fi. My Bluetooth is not connected. But if I wanted to turn Bluetooth on, say I'm connecting to a pair of earbuds or headphones, for example, I can just tap on that right there, and then that activates Bluetooth so I can connect to other devices. You might have seen that something else also lit up when I turned on Bluetooth in the bottom left, and that's a function called AirDrop. Now, AirDrop is a really nice function built into Apple devices where you can transfer photos and files to other Apple users, meaning other iPads or iPhones, if they're nearby. This is a nice alternative to sending photos and files to people as a text message. So, just as an example, I went on a hike a couple weeks ago, and we took a lot of photos, and we didn't have cell service. So I wanted to make sure to give my friend the photos that I took, but we didn't have any cell service, and we were close by, so we just used AirDrop. And you can go to the photos in your phone, select the ones you want, and then share them via AirDrop, the same way that you would send stuff via text message. And what this does is it just sends a same high quality version of that photo or that video to someone if they're nearby you. And you have a couple options for uh, who can send and receive stuff from AirDrop to you and from you. So right here, you can see I can just straight up turn receiving off. That means nobody can send me anything from AirDrop. You can also turn it on contacts only. That means you can only use AirDrop with folks that you have saved as a contact in your phone. And then there is another function called everyone for 10 minutes. That means that anybody nearby you, and I think the radius is the same as Bluetooth. So it's about 30 to 40 feet away is what this will work for. This means that for 10 minutes, anybody nearby you can airdrop something to your phone, whether it's a photo or a video or something like that. And they have it set at 10 minutes for security purposes. So if you're in you're in a crowded area or in a public space, something like that, you're not, there's the potential that you could receive a photo or a file from a stranger from another device. So I would recommend keeping this set to contacts only. That way, only people that you know and folks that you have saved in your phone can send you stuff and you can send them stuff. But I definitely recommend checking out AirDrop. If you take some photos or you want to share videos with friends and family, and they have an iPhone or an iPad, and you're close by or together, really the best way to send stuff is through AirDrop because number one, it's faster and it keeps the original high resolution quality. When you send stuff over text messages, it actually compresses the file and it can reduce the resolution of the picture or the video. So using AirDrop sends a direct copy of that picture or video to somebody nearby. So check it out. And then the last thing here in the bottom right is called personal hotspot. This is dependent on your wireless, your mobile carrier plan. I have a mobile plan that I can actually use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot, so to speak. I don't really ever use this except for if I'm in like an airport or if I'm somewhere where I don't have access to Wi-Fi. And I'll turn this on and then I'll connect my computer to it so I can finish work or stream a movie or something like that. But keep in mind that this is dependent on your mobile carrier data plan. You might have extra charges onto your plan depending on what the details are with your data. So just keep that in mind. Okay, and I'm just going to turn Bluetooth off. Fun fact, Bluetooth has gotten a lot better and it doesn't really drain your battery quite as much as it used to. But if you leave Bluetooth on all the time, you might notice that your battery drains a little bit faster than it does with it off. So I personally keep my Bluetooth connection off on my phone unless I know I'm going to be connecting to my earbuds to work out or go on a walk or something like that. So that's just my preference. Okay, moving down here, we talked about the portrait orientation lock. That's this kind of square that you can see lighting up right there. Next to that, these two little squares, I can't use this function because I'm sharing my screen for this class right now, but that's something called share play. And what that lets you do is you can mirror the content that's on your phone to a compatible TV or another screen. And a use case scenario for this that I find really nice is When I'm traveling, they usually have a TV in the hotel room or the Airbnb or something like that, for example. And maybe I want to watch Netflix or I want to watch a show that I've got saved on Hulu or HBO, something like that. I don't necessarily want to log into my account on one of those TVs. So what I can do is just open up my Netflix or my Hulu app on my phone that I'm already logged into. I've got my watch list. I've got my history of stuff that I've been watching. And then on most modern TVs, all you need to do is be connected to the same network, the same Wi-Fi network, and then you can actually cast what you're watching from your phone onto another compatible TV. I actually do this at home a lot because I find it's faster, it's easier to use my phone as a remote controller than the actual remote for the TV. So just as an example, if I'm watching like a show on YouTube, I actually find it easier to open up my YouTube app and then I click on the little share play button and then it pops up a list of local devices that you can connect to. Mine says, my smart TV 4K. I just tap on smart TV and then it casts that content to the TV. I would definitely try this out on your home TV because this is a really great travel tip that I use almost every single time that I travel. So nice feature there. Do not, right below that, you can see that I have do not disturb on. Again, this is just so that I don't get notifications right now while I'm sharing my screen for this class. But if I hold my finger down on that, I get a couple of other options. And this is called focus on the iPhone. You have a couple of different sort of notification modes that you can customize based on what you'd like for that point in the day. So, and you can customize all this stuff too. So do not disturb basically just means if I get a phone call or a text message or another app sends me a notification normally, if I have this on, I'm not going to get that notification. My phone's not going to ring. It's not going to vibrate. Okay. Right below it, I have sleep. So I actually use this every day. I set my calendar, my sleep schedule essentially. So that means that it's going to set my alarm for each night. And I have it set for kind of different bedtimes, essentially, depending, I have different bedtime on Friday night than Monday night, just as an example, and then a different wake up time too. So sleep mode is basically the same thing as do not disturb, but it sets an alarm for you as well if you'd like. You can customize all of this stuff too. I'll show you how to get to the focus area and settings here in just a moment. And then you have another mode, a personal one, where you can sort of customize that, and then a work one as well, where you can kind of put your phone in work mode and then customize different notifications that you want to receive while you're at work, just as an example. So a couple different ways you can use this. So just to the right of the do not disturb area, you've got the brightness. That's the little sun icon right there. And you won't be able to see it change on your screen, but on my screen, as I'm sliding this up and down, it's increasing and decreasing the brightness of my screen. So super easy way to change your brightness. And then to the right of that, the little phone symbol, that's just your overall volume. You can use the buttons on the side of your phone. Whoops. You can use the buttons on the side of your phone to change your volume if you're listening to music or a video or something like that. And you can also change it with that little lever, that bar right there as well. And then down below, I've got some other shortcuts. All these little squares at the bottom, those are other shortcuts as well. So on kind of the left, that little flashlight symbol, aptly named, symbol, that is the flashlight. So if I tap on that, turns on the flashlight on my phone. You should be able to see this on my screen. And then what I can also do is if I hold my finger down, I can change the brightness level for my flashlight as well, all the way up from 4 down to 1 or even 0. I usually just keep mine like at a level 3, but you can change this if you want to. Nice little feature. And then if I want to turn it off, all I got to do is tap it again and it turns my flashlight off. Nice little shortcut. To the right of those, I've got shortcuts to my camera, my alarm clock, and my calculator. So I can easily get to any of those things if I want to. And then down below, that blinking red light, that just means that I'm sharing my screen right now. And that will show up also if you do a screen recording. I'll show you how to activate that for your control panel. But if I wasn't screen sharing right now for this class, I could actually tap on that button and then I could do a recording of something on my screen. So I showed you how to take a screenshot. That's where you just take a single stagnant photo of your screen. I can also use that blinking red button right there to take a recording. It essentially starts a video, and then anything that I do on my screen as I'm moving around is going to be recorded and saved as a video to my device. So I've done this before. I was trying to show somebody how to do something on their phone, and rather than type out a text message and talk through it, I just took a screen recording and sent it to them. So they knew how to do it from that. So that's kind of one use case scenario for recording your screen. And then to the right of that, I've got access to some file folders on my phone. The little battery symbol at the bottom right there, that's actually low power mode. I think most iPhones, you can turn it off, but most of them automatically default to low power mode once your phone hits 20% battery. And low power mode just takes some actions to decrease your battery usage. So it will reduce the brightness on your screen. It will pause some background activities and apps from doing things in the background, things like that. So if I wanted to, I could tap on that and turn on low power mode. And then the bottom left, just a couple more shortcuts that I have. The one that's lit up, that little kind of CD looking thing, the black and white, that is actually dark mode. I have a shortcut on there. So if I tap on this, it actually, you can't really tell with how my phone is right now in this particular menu, but right now my phone is in light mode. And if I tap on that, it puts my phone into dark mode. And I'll jump into the differences between those two in just a moment. But I'm going to turn that off so that you can see my phone a little bit better as we get into some different areas. And then the last shortcut that I have here in the bottom left, it's this little app that I have called Shazam. And this is just a little shortcut that I use on my phone. It's essentially a song identifier app. So if I'm out and about at a restaurant or something like that, and I hear a song maybe that I like and I don't know what it is, I can just tap on that, hold my phone up, and then it listens to whatever's playing, and then it'll pop up on my screen and tell me what that song is. Kind of a cool little thing that I use from time to time. And then I liked that I could add the shortcut to control panel so that I could get to it easily. And I'll show you in just a moment how to customize all of these different things here on the control panel. But just one more reminder, how to get there. If you have an iPhone 10 or newer, swipe down from the top right of your screen. And if you have an iPhone 8 or older, swipe up from the very bottom center of your screen. This is a really cool one that I use pretty often when I'm reading articles on Safari. So what I just did, you can see in the bottom of my screen there, I have that blue kind of compass app. That's Safari. That is the built-in internet browser for Apple devices, for iPhones and iPads. Same thing as Google Chrome, same thing as Microsoft Edge. It's your browser where you can visit different websites. So I have this article open just as an example. This is a recipe for beef stew, as you can see. If you've ever looked up a recipe on your phone, the screen that you've seen probably looks a lot like this one. You can see I've got some like ads at the bottom and different videos that are auto playing and things like that. And I don't know about you, but I think that stuff is kind of annoying. So what I like to do is I use reader mode in my browser so that I can easily get rid of distractions and just see what I want on the screen. So at the bottom, you can see the URL of the website, thecozycook.com. Directly to the left of that, there's a little puzzle piece and a couple of A's, a big A and a small A. If I tap on that, the big A and the small A, excuse me, I get a little menu where I can do some other stuff. And at the very bottom of that, there is Show Reader. Should be able to see that at the bottom-ish of my screen. If I tap on Show Reader, this puts my screen view into a mode where it only shows me the actual content of the article or the web page that I'm looking at. And again, this isn't just specific to recipes. This is for any web page that you're on your Safari browser. So you can see that when I tap on that, it gives me a simplified, focused version of the web page that I'm looking at without any other stuff going on the page. It's kind of like enabling an ad blocker, not really, because this works, even on pages that, or even on articles or pages, websites that don't have any ads on them. I would encourage you to play with this. I read, news articles and things from time to time, and I like using reader mode just because it makes it so much easier to read stuff. And it formats it into a nice way where it kind of squeezes stuff, puts it into your screen, and makes it a lot easier to just scroll and read everything all in one go. And another nice thing, what you can do is once you're in reader mode, just tap again on that menu down there, it's highlighted in black right now, and then you can change what the screen looks like. So right now I'm on just regular white, that kind of blue circle, you should be able to see that. That means that's which mode I'm on. But if I tap on the other ones, you should be able to see this on your screen. Yep, I can change the background to a different color if I would like to. And I can also change the font on the screen to a different font if I would prefer it. And I can also increase the font size. You can see I'm just tapping the big A and the little a to increase and decrease the font for this particular page. I'm going to show you another way to do this for your overall phone settings, but I really love this feature. I use reader mode when I'm using the browser a lot. Okay. And then if I want to exit reader, I just tap on that menu again, and I tap hide reader, and it takes me back to the normal mobile version of that website. Okay. Nice. All right. Let's dive into some settings real quick. So to find your settings, you're looking for this little gray cog right here. Okay. So let's talk quickly about your Apple ID. So at the very top of my screen right here, you can see my name and my picture right next to it. If I tap into that, that takes me into my Apple ID. So right here, this is where I can adjust a few different things. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Number one, sort of in the top middle, there's an area called subscriptions. This is an area where you can manage any paid apps or other subscriptions that you've paid for on your iPhone. So I have a couple of subscriptions in here that I use and a couple that are inactive. So I actually have a couple of apps. Yes, I play Pokemon Go a lot, so I have an app that gives me some extra features that I pay for. And then I also play disc golf, and I use this app to keep track of rounds and find courses and stuff like that. But they require a paid subscription. So they show up right here in this area, and I can manage that subscription right from this page. And I show this because we all have a lot of subscriptions nowadays, and it's easy to lose track of them, and then they can restart and continue charging us. So from this page, if I wanted to, I'm going to click on UDisc there. And then right from this screen, I can tap on cancel subscription. Now, I just want to note that this doesn't always work for, say, a Netflix or a Hulu or other streaming subscriptions, things like that. It's only stuff that it's only for apps that you have paid for or that have a monthly or a recurring subscription, as well as Apple services. So you can see under inactive, there's Apple TV Plus. I did have an Apple TV Plus subscription for a little while, just wanted to watch a couple of shows on there. Once I finished them, I went into this section and I canceled my subscription to Apple TV Plus. That's why you can see it says expired on March 17th right there. So this is a nice way to just hop in and easily cancel or modify any subscriptions for any apps that you may have purchased. Now, some apps cost money up front, a couple bucks to just get you access to that app, and other ones might be free to download, and then you have to pay a subscription for premium features. So, excuse me, just as an example, both of these apps here, Pokemon Home and UDisc Disc Golf, the app itself is free to download, but there's some advanced features that are locked behind a paid subscription. I have a couple of other apps. One of them is called All Trails. It's just a trail hiking app that shows you trails in your area, and another one called Fish Brain. It shows you fishing spots and what folks have caught at different fishing areas. Those both have free versions that I use, but they also have a paid version that gives you kind of more premium features. And if I were to subscribe to those, they would also show up right here. So just wanted to kind of show you how you can manage your subscriptions on this area. Okay. One other thing to highlight is the Find My area right here in the middle. It's that little green sort of radar you can see. And this is where you can manage different devices that are connected to your account that you can find if they ever get lost. And I would recommend turning this on if it's not on your phone. Essentially what this does is it turns on the Find My network for your phone here. So if you ever lose your phone or it ever gets stolen or you ever lose it or something like that, then you can actually use the Find My function on any internet connected web browser to see a location of where your phone was. And all you have to do is just go to iCloud.com, log in with your Apple ID, email, and password, and then go to Find My Phone. And then you'll be able to see on a map where your phone was last located. I've used this before. I've lost my phone a couple of times over the last decade, and I've used it successfully both times to find my phone in a place where I lost it. So I would recommend keeping this on just in case anything were to ever happen to your phone. Okay. And the nice thing about the Find My too is you can use it for more stuff than just your phone. If anybody has a pair of AirPod earbuds or even AirTags, these are little tracking devices. I actually have one in my car and I have one in my disc golf bag just in case something were to happen to either of those, they were to get stolen or I were to lose my bag or something like that. I could track them down using the AirTag, using the Find My function. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to shoot us an email and I can give you some more information. But I think it's a good idea to turn that on, especially if you have family or kids or grandkids or anything like that and they have an iPhone. It's a good idea to turn location on just for security purposes. You know, you can see where they are and things like that. Totally up to you, though. It's your preference. Okay, so I mentioned we're in the Apple ID section, right? So I guess I should explain what your Apple ID is, first of all. So this is essentially your Apple account, your account that you use with your iPhone. So you need an email and a password for your Apple ID. Now, I would strongly recommend writing that down and keeping it somewhere safe, whether you have a password journal or you use an online password manager like LastPass or Google Password, something like that. Make sure you know your email and your password for your Apple ID because you may have experienced this before if you're trying to download an app or doing some other things on your phone. Occasionally, your phone will prompt you to log into your Apple ID. And we all know how frustrating it is to have to log into something when you don't have your email and password handy or if you've forgotten it. If you ever forget your Apple ID password, you're going to go to iforgot.apple.com. And I'll put that in the chat here in just a moment as well so that you have it. I've had to use this before. We've all forgotten passwords, but this is a really easy resource to get that recovered for you. Okay. All right. So that is your Apple ID and the different settings. There's some different things that you can do in here. You can manage your payment and your shipping options if you ever use Apple Pay to pay for stuff. That's essentially where you can link your credit cards and debit cards to your phone so that you can use Tap to Pay. A lot of retailers and stores and merchants use Tap to Pay now, where most credit cards have that little kind of symbol on them where you can just tap your card on them. And if they have that symbol, that means they also support mobile wallet pay as well. So I have a couple of my credit cards synced to my phone where I don't even need to pull out my card. I can just open up my wallet on my phone, tap my phone on the payment, and then it's good to go. So that's an option as well. I encourage you to get in here to Apple ID and explore some of these options as well. Okay, let's jump into some other settings here so that you can kind of jump through here and see what we're talking about. So first things first, how to see what iPhone you have if you don't have one. So here from your main settings, scroll down until you see General right there. So tap on General, and then we've got other options, but at the very top, I'm going to tap on About. This just tells me all of the specs for my phone. So I've named my phone Connor's iPhone. You can see which version of software you're on. I'm on 17.3.1. And then I can see my model name. So I'm currently on the iPhone 13 Pro. So I mentioned a couple times some features are available in different ways for older iPhones versus newer iPhones. This is where you can see which iPhone you have. And then if you ever need to look something up, Google something on how to do it on your phone, you know exactly which phone that you have. This also tells me how many songs I have on here, how many videos. I have almost 13,000 photos on my phone, which is insane. I take a lot of photos. I have 119 apps. My total phone capacity is 256 gigabytes, and I have about 92-ish gigabytes of available space on my phone. Good to know. So that's what you can see from the About section right here. So what I'm doing to get back, you might have seen that, but I'm going to go back to the screen I was just on. I'm in About, very top left, right below where the time is. You can see the General and the little arrow. That's just telling me if I tap on that, that takes me back to the screen that I was just on. Okay. So next thing I wanted to talk about was a quick security function. That's how to set a screen lock and a passcode for your phone. So in this same section below General, I'm going to go down to Face ID and Passcode. So it's going to prompt me to enter in my passcode here, just to change my settings for security purposes. So Same sort of thing with an iPhone 8 or older. Those didn't have Face ID built into them. They actually had fingerprint ID on the little button that was at the bottom. So if you have an iPhone 8 or older, you have fingerprint ID and not Face ID. And then iPhone 10 or newer, you've got Face ID. Okay. So what essentially this lets me do is adjust some settings for how I can unlock my phone and keep my phone secure. So I would recommend going in here. If you don't have a passcode on your phone, that means if your phone's locked and you go to pick it up and open it, if you have this on, it's going to require you to either show your face to verify that it's you to unlock your phone, or it will require you to type in a passcode. And you can see here in the middle of my screen, I could turn passcode off or change it. If I didn't have one set up, it would say set up passcode. I would very strongly recommend that you have a passcode on your phone. This is the number one step for security that you can have for your personal information on your phone. We all have a lot of personal information in our phone, our contacts, birthdays, emails, phone numbers, addresses, things like that. And it's very important to take simple steps for security to make sure that that information is protected. So I would recommend making sure that you have a passcode on there. And I know it can kind of be annoying to have to type in a code every single time you want to open your phone. And that's where you can use Face ID or fingerprint ID. So if my phone is locked, all I have to do is pick it up, hold it up to my face, and then it unlocks right away. It's really easy. So I would recommend using Face ID just because it's a little easier, but it's totally up to you which one you want to use. And then for here, what you can also do is you can use Face ID for multiple functions on your phone. So you can see, just as an example, I have all these things turned on right here. That's what the green button means. So I can use Face ID to unlock my iPhone if it's locked. I can also go into other apps here and choose which ones I can log into with Face ID. So I have, a bunch of different apps, shopping apps, banking apps, things like that, where if I ever need to log in, I never have to type in a passcode. I can just log in with my face. Pretty cool. I recommend checking this out. All right, let's talk about some display and appearance settings that we can do. So I mentioned dark mode a little bit ago, so I'm going to go to display and brightness. And this is where you can change settings for, aptly named, display and brightness. First up on the phone, you can see that I'm currently on light mode, but if I tap on dark, it essentially inverts my text in my background. So now I have a black background with white text on top. This is actually the mode that I prefer personally. I like the dark background with the white text. I find that for me, it's easier to see, and studies have actually shown that it's easier on your eyes to have a darker screen with lighter text. And it actually uses less battery for your phone as well, because your phone's not lighting up as much of the screen. It's a darker screen. But for this class, I'm going to leave it on light so that things are just a little bit easier to see. If I scroll down, I can also change a couple of other things, text size and bold. Bold text is just a button that you can turn off or on. If I turn it on, it bolds your text, makes it a little darker, a little easier to see. If I tap into text size here, this is where I can change the overall size of the font of the text that appears on my screen. Okay, so all I'm doing is this little slider at the bottom. I'm sliding it left and right to show you I can make it smaller or bigger. This is just the default font for all of the different text that you're going to see on your phone. So that's how you could change that if you wanted to. Okay. Another nice security feature here, it's called auto lock. You can sort of see that at the bottom of my screen. I have this set to 2 minutes, but you can set it anywhere from 30 seconds up to 5 minutes. What this does is if I were to just set my phone down, just like this, not touch it, my phone is open on this screen. After 2 minutes of not doing anything, my phone is going to lock. And I would strongly recommend turning this on for any of these time frames. Because if you set your phone down and it's not locked, that means it's just going to stay on that screen unless you were to manually lock it with the button on the side of the screen. This is a really simple security feature as well. Just in case you're ever out and about, you set your phone down. God forbid, last thing we ever want is for someone to grab our phone, but it does happen. So I would recommend keeping this on an automatic lock so that your phone will lock if you set it down. Okay. All right. And then the last thing I wanted to chat about here is night shift. this is a function that I use every day. You can see it starts at 9 and goes to 7 a.m. So what this does is once it hits 9 p.m. every night, you can see down below the color temperature. The background of my phone is actually going to shift from more of a blue light to more of a warm yellow light later in the evening. And studies have actually shown that less blue light closer to bed makes it easier to fall and stay asleep and improves the quality of sleep. So this is something that you could set up if you want to. I have this set up every day from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. That means once 9 o'clock hits, my phone screen is less bright, less blue light, and it shifts to a dimmer, a more yellow light so that I can hopefully get some better sleep. So that's something you can set up as well. Okay, fantastic. All right, I'm going to go back. Let's talk really quick about how to customize your notifications. So I'm back in my main settings and I'm on that little kind of red bell one right here, notifications. So you can customize which of your apps and services can deliver notifications to you. That means they can vibrate, they can make a sound, whatever. So I can display my notifications in a couple of different ways. I can do a count, which tells me you have this many notifications. I can do a stack, but I prefer the list because it just shows them in a list, top to bottom, what my notifications are from different apps. So as I go down, you can see that I can get into individual apps here and customize the notifications that I have for them. So I actually did this recently. I have the Costco app just so I can access my membership card and other stuff on there. But I had notifications on, and I didn't realize that I had all these different permissions on here. So I was getting notifications from the Costco app, like, check out the new sale this week, check out this new thing, like all the time. And I just decided that I didn't want those notifications anymore. So I went in here and I tapped on the very top, allow notifications, turn that off. That means that that app is no longer going to send me notifications. Okay. And I can do this for all my other apps. One of the main ones to point out is messages. So um, this means that if I get a text message, that I'm going to get a vibration if my phone's on silent, or it's going to make a sound if my phone is not on silent. And you can customize all of those things. You can customize the sound, the ringtone for that. You can customize what the notifications look like, all these different things. So I would recommend hopping in here and going to your notification settings. If you've ever had any apps that are kind of annoying and you can't make them stop notifying you, go in here and just make sure that you have your notifications set to where you want them. Okay. All right. I mentioned that we were going to talk about local storage on your phone versus cloud storage. So we're going to go back to the general tab here. And then you can see kind of in the middle of my screen, there's iPhone storage. So if I tap on this, this will tell me how much stuff I have stored locally on my phone. So when you buy your phone, you can buy ones that have more storage or ones with less storage. I purchased the one that has 256 gigabytes. You can see that at the top. And I currently have about 93 gigabytes of free space. And it actually lists for you based on your apps what is taking up the most room. And I actually have a culprit here. My Nexar app is taking up 63.17 gigabytes of room. That is quite a lot. That's just an app that pairs with the dash cam that I have in my car. So it records my drives and then it puts the videos on this app. So makes sense that there's a lot of storage there because it takes a video and videos take up a lot of room. So if I wanted to, I could go in here and I could clean this up. I could delete things if I needed to make room. And it even gives me a couple of recommendations right here where you can, it tells you can do these things and that will improve your storage. So I could offload unused apps just as an example. And apparently this will save me about 11 gigabytes. So it just says it'll offload unused apps when you're low on storage. Your documents and data will be saved. So it's essentially just kind of getting rid of some local storage, but it's keeping the kind of background data if you ever need to go in and access it again. I'm not super concerned right now. I still have 93 gigabytes of storage. My biggest, well, other than my my Nexar one there, I have a ton of videos and things on my phone as well. So, plus with text messages, you can see that I have 8.15 gigabytes of attachments in my messages. So, if you ever send somebody a photo or a video or a link or other things in text messages, it actually saves all that in your chat with that person. So, um, just as an example, let's say somebody texts me a photo, and then I were to save that photo from the text to my phone. That photo now exists in two separate places. It exists in my photos library and it exists in my text message thread with that person. So what this recommendation is saying, hey, we can go through and we can delete all those attachments in your messages and we can save you some storage. So that's an example there of how to manage your storage. Okay. And this is storage that's local to your iPhone. That means this is stored on this device in particular. But if you've ever heard of the cloud, that is another way to store files and photos and documents basically in an area. It's not literally the cloud. It's a collection of servers that all manage data. And that means that you can access them on a variety of devices from a variety of different places. So I'm going to go back to my Apple ID, and then I'm going to go down to iCloud. So I also pay a couple bucks a month for cloud storage through iCloud Plus. That's Apple's version of their cloud storage plan. So I pay for a plan that gives me 200 gigabytes, and I'm actually getting close to my limit here. So I might manage my storage here so I can make sure I've got enough. But this is totally optional. I think the plan that I pay for, the 200 gig, is $2.99 a month. 50 gig is $1 still. It's been that way for over 10 years, I think. Maybe not over 10 years. Pretty close to it, though. But this essentially just gives you more storage. And I like doing this because it creates another backup of any content that I have saved to the cloud. So that way, if my phone gets stolen or it breaks or I lose it, I'm not losing all of my contacts. I don't lose all my photos and my videos and my files because there's a backup copy of all of those things that's saved to my iCloud account where I can go online and I can and get them again, or I can go get a new phone, sign in with my email and password, and I'll have access to all of that stuff again. So that's really the main benefit to having a cloud storage account here. And then in here, you can customize everything. You can tell it to save your photos to the cloud. Um, I even have iCloud backup on right here. I would recommend turning this on if you can. This essentially just creates periodic backups of everything that's on your phone. Again, in case you lose your phone, it breaks, something like that, you can always restore everything that was on your phone to a new one. So I upgraded this phone, I think 3 years ago now from I had a 10 and I upgraded it to the 13. And it took very little time to just basically create a copy of everything that was on my old phone and push it over to my new phone because I had backups there ready to go. Okay. So that's how local storage versus cloud storage works. Okay. All right. I also promised that I would show you how to download and delete some apps. So let's talk about that next. So then what I can do from here, you can see that my home screen kind of looks like a mess, and it sort of is. But I actually have stuff organized into different folders rather than just having all my apps floating around. You can see I have one, well, you might not be able to see, but I have one called finance, work, cloud storage, food, games, reading, social media, entertainment, music, so on and so forth. So how you can customize this is just hold your finger down on any of your apps, and then you'll get this little menu that pops up right here. You can do a couple different things, and what we want to do is tap on Edit Home Screen. And then from here, they'll all start shaking and dancing around. And this is where you can start dragging stuff around and moving it if you would like to. So just as an example, I'm going to grab my Pokemon Home app down here. And you can see that all I'm doing is I'm putting my finger on it and I'm holding it down and then I can move it around. So I'm going to drag it over the top of my other one. And that's just going to automatically create a new folder right there. I don't know why it wants to call it utilities. It gives it a name based on what's inside of the folder. But if I wanted to, I could just click the X and then I could rename this to games, just as an example. So now I have a folder right there. And if I want to exit, I just tap below or anywhere outside of the folder, and it takes me back to my home screen. And if I'm ever, and once I'm done, go to the top right and I tap on done. Boom, I'm all done moving stuff around. Using this same function, I can hold down on top of something and I can remove the app right from here. So if you ever need to delete an app, this is the easiest way to do it. Just hold down until this menu pops up and then tap on remove app and it will delete it. Okay. Let's talk quickly also about installing new apps. You're going to do this from the App Store. That is this one right here, the blue App Store icon. And if you can't find it on your phone, remember the shortcut, swipe down from the middle of your screen and then just type in App Store. It's going to be this blue one right here. So this is where I can download apps to my phone. Just remember, you have to be signed into your Apple ID account. That's your email and your password that's associated with your Apple account, okay? So from here, I've got a menu at the bottom of my screen where I can go to their recommended apps for the day. I can look at games, and on the bottom right, I can search for stuff. So if I ever wanted to, I could go in here and I could search for, Candy Crush, just as an example, popular app. And then all I would have to do is tap on the Get button on the right side, and then that is going to download it to my phone. So right here, I'm signed into my Apple ID, so it's going to make me double click my lock button to confirm that I want to install this. So I'm going to double click that. I'm wondering if it's going to make me, okay. Last time I did this, it actually made me log in. It made me log in with my email and my password. So that's why I mentioned to have that, kind of ready in case you ever need it. And then it should take, less than a minute or so to download the app, and then it'll be available to use on your phone. So that's how you use an app. Okay. And then this will continue going in the background, so I can navigate away from this. You can see that it's installing right there on the right side of my screen. Okay. All right. Make sure we're on track here. Awesome. So one other tip here when it comes to apps is how to close apps that are running in the background on your phone. And this is something that I would recommend doing on a periodic basis. So on a newer iPhone, iPhone 10 or newer, you're going to swipe your finger up from the bottom of your screen, but you're not going to lift your finger up right away. You're going to swipe up until you can see that app popped up from the side there. Now I can let my finger go and you can see all of the open apps that I have here on my phone. I have just a couple. Chances are you might have a little bit more if you haven't done this in a while. But this is how you can quickly move between different apps. So I was just in the App Store. Let's say I want to quickly get back to my settings. Swipe my finger up, slide over, tap on settings, and I'm there. I use this to navigate throughout my phone all the time. And I know we're getting close to time here. If folks have to leave, that's totally okay. We're going to keep going. And remember, the recording will be available, but I have a couple of more things I want to go to. So if you have to go, no worries. You can always finish it with the recording later. Okay, so we were talking about how to switch between apps and how to close apps. So from here, once I'm at this screen, all I have to do to close an app is tap my finger on it, but don't lift it up. And I'm just going to slide it off the top of my screen, just like that, okay? I'm going to just slide it upwards. And what that does is it closes the app and stops it from running in the background. If you've got a bunch of apps open all at the same time that are all running in the background, they're using your connection and they're taking up battery as well, okay? So I pretty much, I know some people who are very religious about doing this. They'll, close after every single app that they use. I'm not. I usually do this like at the end of the night or at the end of the day before I go to bed, and I plug in my phone, close all my apps, make sure my alarm's set for the morning, plug in my phone. That's pretty much my routine. So on an older iPhone, if you have the button at the bottom of your screen, you're going to double tap on that button, and that will open up all of your open apps. Okay. So that's how you do that. All right. I want to talk a little bit about some camera settings. So I'm going to jump into my camera, but I just wanted to kind of warn you because once I tap on camera, it's going to, I think it's going to be automatically on my front camera. So it'll probably show my face right away. So here we go. Oh, it's actually on my rear camera. So it's showing my keyboard. So When I flip it around, and then there I am again. Hello. Okay, so a couple of quick settings and just different things that you can do here inside of your camera. Number one, you can flip between your front-facing camera to take a selfie, and you can flip between your rear camera. I do that with this little button at the, this is kind of cool. I can actually point to where I'm going now. So this little button that's at the bottom right of my screen, that little circle, that just changes which camera I'm on at any given time. Okay, so kind of cool. I can also cycle between modes. So you can see sort of right here below my chin, I'm on photo mode, that yellow photo button. But I've got next to it, I've got video, I've got cinematic, excuse me. I've got slow-mo, I've got time lapse. And if I go even more to the right, I've got portrait mode for photos, and I've got panoramic mode for photos. So I would recommend going in and playing around with these. You can do a bunch of different stuff with them. So just as an example with like time lapse, I was at the beach a couple months ago during king tides, and I actually set my phone up on a little tripod and I turned time lapse on and I left it alone for 3 hours. And then it gave me a really cool 30-minute time lapse video of the scene where I set my phone up. So lots of different cool stuff you can do here with your iPhone. Cinematic mode, it's not letting me do this because we're in a class right now, but cinematic mode basically it just creates a different sort of viewing mode for taking videos. And they call it cinematic because it focuses on the foreground, on the subject, more than the background. Sort of the same thing as what portrait mode does. If you ever want to take like a nice picture of someone, try using portrait mode because it focuses more on them and less on the background behind them. So I'd recommend checking that out too. And then a couple things that you can do inside of here. So the top of my screen right here, I have this little arrow. And if I tap on that, the bottom of my screen opens up a little menu where I can do some different things. So on the far left, the lightning bolt, that's how you turn your flash off and on if you ever need flash for a photo. To the right of that, this little kind of moon symbol, this is a kind of night mode photography. And this automatically adjusts based on the light environment that you're in. So in a dark environment, this will actually go up to 10 seconds. You can see that I'm at 1 second right here because the room I'm in is pretty bright. But if it was nighttime, it would go up to even farther up. And I've actually taken some really great photos at night using this function before. It takes a slow exposure of the scene to let more light in through the lens, and then it creates just a lighter photo. I would recommend playing with this. To the right of that, this is a cool function called live photos. You can turn this off or on, but essentially what this does is it creates a little, it's a picture, but it creates a couple seconds of movement that you can look at later. So I'm going to take one just as an example, and I'm going to move around so you can sort of see. And then if I tap on bottom left corner, which is my most recent photo I took, a live photo is pretty cool. If I hold this down, I'm going to hold my finger down on the screen. You see, it takes just a couple seconds of video there. It doesn't record audio, it's just a couple seconds of video. So I think that's cool for like, you're out in nature, you're at the beach. Say you're at the beach and you take a live photo. You've got kids playing or birds flying or something like that. It'll take just that couple quick seconds of video that you can then look at later. So kind of a cool little function. Next to that, this is the warmth and the tone of your picture. So you're starting to get into changing the filters a little bit and changing the light and the saturation, things like that. To the right of that, I can change my orientation. So I'm on 4:3 right now. That means vertically, it's an orientation of 4 pixels tall versus 3 pixels wide. And I could change that to square. You should be able to see on my screen how it changed from a little taller to square. And then I can also do 16:9, which is my essentially full screen top to bottom. Okay. And the reason you might change these is let's say you're taking photos for a certain kind of photo frame that you have. Maybe you've got square photo frames or rectangular ones. If I take a square photo right now, It's obviously a lot easier to frame a square photo in a square photo frame than a rectangular one. So that's one reason why you might change your orientation. Or certain social media networks like Instagram and Facebook have orientations that they prefer. Like Instagram, I think the default posting is a 4:3 orientation like this. Okay, so that's what that does. Oh, and then even more over here, this changes the exposure level, the little plus minus right here. So you can, I think you can see on my screen. Yeah, it does. So it changes how much light you're letting into the camera right there. Okay. And then next to that, you've got a timer. So you can use this for, say, group photos. That's when I would use this most. You can set your phone up somewhere and then turn on either a 3-second or a 10-second timer. The little flashlight on the back of your phone will blink. And then as it gets closer to taking the photo, it'll blink faster and then it'll take your photo. So that's how you do a timer. And then all the way on the right here, this is where you can add some filters before you even take a photo. You can do a lot of this stuff after you take photos, but you can also add filters before. So I can add more warm color. I can go black and white, all these different options in here. So I would recommend just going into your camera, playing around with some of these settings, take some photos, take some videos, see what you like, and then you might discover something new. So yeah. All right. So what's new in iOS 17? Again, this is the latest software version for the iPhone, and there's a couple of pretty cool new features that are available. Is a function called live voicemail. And essentially what this does, if you turn this on in your phone settings, if you get a call from a number that's not saved in your phone, so an unknown number, and they leave you a voicemail, um, it's actually going to transcribe on your screen the message that they're leaving you. And then you can decide to pick up the call while they're leaving a voicemail if you want to. Pretty cool feature. Say you're waiting for a call for an appointment or from the doctor's office or something like that, and you don't know the number. I know me personally, I usually never answer phone calls if it's from a number that I don't know, I don't have saved in my phone, just because we all get a lot of spam calls on a daily basis. So I usually let stuff go to voicemail. And if it's important, I figure they'll leave me a voicemail. So this is a cool feature where you can see what's happening in real time and you can pick up the call if you want to. Similarly, there's now video voicemails when using FaceTime. So FaceTime is the built-in video calling app for iPhones and iPads and Apple devices in general. So if you call someone on FaceTime and they don't answer, you can leave them a video voicemail as well. Pretty cool. There's also been improved autocorrect and text prediction features. So I know we've all typed out a message and then tried to type in something and then it auto corrects it to some other word that we weren't trying to say. So basically the new software has improved the autocorrect function as well to try and make that a little smoother and to try and capture what you're actually trying to say. There's interactive widgets on the home screen. I can jump into this if folks want to, just go ahead and put it in the chat. But essentially, these are different shortcuts that you can use on your screen. So when I was showing you how to organize and move around your different apps, make them all dance. And then at the top left of your screen, there's a little plus button, and that's where you can add a widget. So a widget is essentially just a shortcut that you can use on your home screen without having to go into that app itself. I use widgets for like the weather. I was doing it for when sunrise is because we've been gaining more daylight, so I like to see when sunset is. So I like to kind of see when sunset is. So I have a widget that shows up on my home screen that shows me when sunrise and sunset is for that day. And there's a lot of different options for different apps that you can do. You can do it for reminders, your alarm clock. Different apps have different widget shortcuts that you can adjust. So I would encourage you to check that out. iOS 17 has also cleaned up the interface a bit for messages to access your apps, photos, and more. If you go into a text message with somebody, there's a little plus symbol on the left side. That's where you can attach a photo or send them a GIF message or different things like that. And they've just kind of cleaned up the interface there and made it a little easier to use the attachments for your messages. And then there's even more. If you want to see even more of what's going on with iOS 17, I would just Google what's new in iOS 17 and you'll learn something. So, okay, that is all we've got for the class today. Thank you so much for joining us, for giving us some of your time for this first ever BCT community class. If you have any additional questions or comments, feel free to send us an email at memberteam@bctelco.com. And then after this class officially ends, you're going to see a survey pop up on your screen. I'd love it if you could take just a minute, fill out that survey, let me know what you thought of the class. Let me know if you have any ideas for future classes, for stuff you'd like to learn about, what you'd like to see us cover. We definitely appreciate your feedback. So um, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to give you just a second to put them in the chat, and then I'd be happy to answer them. But just a reminder, this class was recorded today. I'm going to take the recording and put it up on the BCT website, and then I'll be sending it out to folks in our regular monthly email newsletter as well. So with that said, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you learned a thing or two. Again, feel free to shoot us an email if you have any additional questions or comments. Thank you so much again for your time. Have an amazing rest of the day. Thanks, everybody.